Season 4 of Miraculous Ladybug is opening up with something very interesting. Whereas last episode, episode 1 of Season 4, is titled Truth, this episode 2, is titled Lies. So, as you can tell, there's a bit of a theme going on here. And that's namely that while Adrien and Marinette try to move on basically from each other, unfortunately, that was easier said than done, as ultimately their superhero personas just don't allow them to tell their significant others everything they would want to. As we open up with Marinette researching the miraculous box, she finds that a lot of the codes and stuff from the book of the miraculous is a little too hard for her to decipher, but Tiki gives her a little bit of confidence in the fact that she was able to help Master Fu figure out at least a few of the riddles, so there's that. Although she does get distracted by Adrien, despite the fact that at this point she was kind of involved with Luca for the most part. And while Marinette feels that Adrien's life must be like a dream, Adrien finds it dreadfully dull, and is all too excited to get out and patrol as Cat Noir. Unfortunately, Ladybug for some reason isn't there for their normal meetups, and when he calls her, it goes straight to voicemail. He's been ghosted. So he goes out on patrol by himself, although there's not really much of anything happening. Even Mr. Pigeon hasn't transformed in quite a while, which Cat Noir kind of tries to goad on a bit. But he ends up at the Paris Hotel getting a few glasses of free milk from Chloe's butler. But when he spots an argument between Chloe and Sabrina, with Chloe blaming Sabrina for the loss of her purse, which Sabrina is desperately trying to point out is right there on you, woman, it starts to kind of escalate. And Cat Noir kind of gets like, oh, maybe we're going to see an Akuma? No, Chloe notices. And it's kind of resolved for the most part. So he asks for a little bit more milk. But then he spots Kagami training with her mother, and Kagami mentioning that she seems to very much be interested in reeling Adrien in, I guess you could say, for the most part. And, with that, Adrien decides to call it a day. Mostly because he has some upcoming events going on. So he ends patrol, and Plag gives him a little bit of advice that, well, there are plenty of other cheeses in the cupboard, as I guess he would say. Why stick to one when there are so many other great flavors? And he makes a good point. Ladybug doesn't seem to be interested, so why pine after someone who's not interested? And when he hears that apparently the schedule for fencing class has been moved up, he's actually fairly interested. But something's weird here. Apparently, Kagami's mother believes that the Agrests have moved things up, whereas Gabriel thinks that Kagami and her mother have moved things up. And when they arrive, they find that, no, fencing class doesn't begin for another hour, and we can't have unsupervised children just walking around the school. So Kagami pretends to leave, but this was all a ploy so that they could head to the art room, as Kagami wants to show off her love of drawing and all that. And while she has a phenomenal talent for art, her mother has always made her feel like she isn't good enough, which my response is, the woman is friggin' blind. Literally. Shut up. Like, my goodness, parents, I swear to God. But as Kagami requests to draw Adrien, she feels that she's not getting the true Adrien with her draw, and starts to kind of request that Adrien show off his true self. And when, in a joking manner, he kind of shows off his Cat Noir pose, because ultimately Cat Noir is how he truly is deep down inside, Kagami just sees that as him being silly, though Adrien states, what if that is the true me? But she uses that opportunity to go in for a kiss, only for them to be interrupted by the alarm that it's time for fencing class, although Adrien was kind of looking forward to that kiss. Kinda cute. And as fencing class begins, they use this as an opportunity to try to get a little lovey-dovey. But then Adrien notices Ladybug going after a transformed Mr. Pigeon. Be careful what you wish for, children. And he has to make an excuse about why he needs to head out. And we see the events of last episode where Marinette was kind of going through her own thing with Luca and the whole promise to never leave Cat Noir in the lurk again when they're supposed to be on patrol together. But we see the same montage with Marinette and Luca from last episode, though this time around it's more with Adrien and Kagami. You know, the Lollipop Senti monster, he has to go and fight that. Ultimately he tries to meet up with Kagami as they're heading away from school, but then he spots Ladybug chasing after the Akuma that took her away from Luca, so he has to go after that. The band performance where he feels like he was a little bit off, so the band's just like, oh, well, we'll just, play again, but, Kagami tells him, hey, we need to leave right now, and she wants to use this as a bit of an opportunity. He drops his lucky charm that he got from Marinette, though, and when he spots that their rides haven't arrived yet, he's just like, oh, I could have gotten some more practicing. But Kagami insists that this is a great time for them to just spend some time together, and kind of starts to really profess how she feels about him. Unfortunately, he's distracted by Ladybug jumping around in the background, and tries to make up an excuse as to why he's not paying attention to her heartfelt confession, and questions whether or not Adrien feels the same way about her. Although he just kind of brushes it off in order to leave, saying he left something on the barge. But, he ends up hearing a message from Ladybug, basically the events of last episode where Luca had been transformed into Truth. And he spots Truth trying to get the truth out of Ladybug, only for her to be saved by Cat Noir. Meanwhile, at Prince Ali's birthday party that was supposed to have both Kagami and Adrien in attendance together, unfortunately, Kagami has to lie to her mother about where Adrien is, saying that she'll go and try to find him. After they deal with Truth, so this takes place after close to the end of last episode, I'd say. Ultimately, Adrien has to kind of bounce on out of there, but, they have this nice little banter back and forth with Ladybug saying that, oh, well, I do still care about you in certain ways, and we'll always have each other, blah, 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 the usual kind of stuff. But the real crux of things is when Adrien actually gets to the party and meets up with Kagami, who questions if Adrien found that thing he was looking for. He says it was the lucky charm from Marinette, but he seems to think that he's lost it again somehow, only for Kagami to reveal that she had it the entire time. Adrien has been caught in the lie. And Kagami, while she does understand lies, she's been doing it in order to get closer to him, lying to her mother and about classes and this and that. Adrien's only been lying in order to get away from her, and that's deeply hurt Kagami in ways that might never be healed. And Adrien really has no response to this. He has been lying, and he can't reveal why he's been lying at all. And of course, Shadow Moth sees this as an opportunity. Interestingly enough, he's not sending out an Amok as well, only the Akuma. Maybe the Amok has more of a cooldown time than the Akuma state. But, of course, the Akuma possesses the lucky charm, and thus Kagami is dubbed Lies. And Adrien enters just in time to see her transform and expand this massive orb of energy. So he heads off and transforms. As the party for Prince Ali is underway, the white light of Lies comes in. Little white lies, I get it. And confronts Roger Kappa on whether he's lied before. And while he tries to deny it, he's ultimately consumed and frozen, showing that anyone who is a liar is petrified for all of eternity. She even goes after her mother as well. And as Cat Noir enters and tries to confront Kagami, he's only able to just barely escape. He tries to charges up a cataclysm, only for Ladybug to enter and say, "Don't touch it, you'll be frozen forever." How she knows this, I'm not quite sure. But ultimately, I guess she was watching from the outside or something like that. Must be like a newscast or something. It's weird how she's already arrived here just in time. But she admits that, hey, we've all lied, especially us. We're superheroes. We can't just go around telling people the truth all the time, or we wouldn't be who we are. So she brings out a lucky charm, which ends up being a drone. It's a machine, it can't lie, so it's probably going to be fine. So Cat Noir chooses to distract lies, act as bait, as Ladybug sends in the drone to scope things out, spot where the akumatized object is, and formulates a plan on how to destroy it, using Jagged Stone's pet alligator, or crocodile, I'm never quite sure which is which, and baits it with some cake, which cannot be good for this creature's digestive system, and baits it over to where Lies is. But unfortunately, Cat Noir finds himself cornered, and as Ladybug questions how the best way to keep Lies from knowing when she is getting the crocodile to approach, ultimately, Cat Noir chooses to sacrifice himself in order to distract Lies, diving within to the white light, much to Ladybug's dismay. So, as Lies sees the unconscious Cat Noir, well, the immobilized Cat Noir, and goes in for the grab, in comes the crocodile baited by Cake, destroying the lucky charm and reverting Kagami back to normal, much to the dismay of Shadow Noir. Well, Shadow Moth. Shadow Noir would be pretty cool, though. And so Ladybug purifies the Akuma, and she berates Cat Noir for doing something so risky, with Cat Noir actually kind of being taken in by the fact that his lady cares so much. And Adrien transforms back later on, still kind of infatuated with Ladybug to this point, despite everything. Meanwhile, at fencing class the next day, Kagami is going in ruthlessly, even needing to be stopped by the instructor. And as Adrien and Kagami sit in the locker room because they were told to take a seat out, Adrien tries to talk to Kagami about what's happened. And Kagami is understandable about the whole situation. That while she isn't quite happy with what he's done, the lies that she's told, she knows that Adrien has a good soul deep down despite everything. And as Adrien asks if maybe they can just still be friends, Kagami hands back the lucky charm and lets him know that she's not quite sure if they can get to that point. Someday, maybe. But for now, she doesn't quite want to see him for the moment. I can't really blame her on that one. It's a bittersweet moment. They're not destroyed, but at the same time, they'll probably never be the same. And later on that night, Cat Noir talks things over with Ladybug about the secrets that they have to keep, the truths that they can never tell, the lies they have to constantly tell in order to keep things under wraps. But they let each other know that they'll always be there for each other, and they'll always have each other's back, if nothing else. Thus ending our episode. Man, these past two episodes have been a whirlwind of emotions. There's no real upside to any of this. Kagami got hurt, Luca got hurt. No one comes out of all of this completely unscathed, no matter what. It's sad, it's unfortunate, but it's ultimately a necessary evil for our heroes. They can't give away who they are. Kagami was bound to be hurt. I kind of understood that the moment this episode started up. Honestly, Luca's story had a lot more twists and turns, especially with the revelation of who his father was. But if nothing else, Kagami's story was the most understandable. She wanted to be with Adrien, and he just kept making it seem like he didn't want to be with her. And whereas Luca was a lot more understanding that maybe she just loves, still in love with Adrien, Kagami just wanted the truth, just to find out who the true Adrien was, and he couldn't give that to her. It makes me wonder, what would you do in that situation? Do you feel that ultimately the course of actions were right? Would you give up your superhero persona in order to make your significant other feel better? It all comes down to you in the end. But tell me your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. If you like this review, please leave me a like and hit the bell icon and subscribe for more Miraculous Ladybug. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.